Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Listen, it has been entirely too long since I've done a WSForm tutorial, and I can't tell you how many people hound me for WSForm tutorials. So I'm going to do one today, and I'm going to use this opportunity to teach you a very important tactic for improving lead generation and conversion rates. It's called a two-step opt-in process. Now, most people use a one-step opt-in process. They create a whole lead generation form and a landing page for it, and that's where they send people, and they expect people to fill out that entire form and hit submit, and a lot of people do. A lot of people do. It's not that the one-step opt-in process doesn't work, but I guarantee that if you try implementing a two-step opt-in process, most often is the case, you will see an increase in leads, you will see an increase in conversion rates, and you will see an increase to the bottom line, right? An increase in conversions later down the line. And I'm going to talk about why that is, okay? There's some psychology behind it. It's fairly basic. It's very easy to understand. But beyond that, I'm going to show you how to actually set this funnel up, this two-step opt-in process from a technical standpoint. There are many ways that people try to approach this. We are going to do it with a single form. We are not going to use multiple forms. It is a single form, and I'm going to show you how WSForm makes this really, really, really easy. Okay, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to dive in and talk about our funnel pages first, and then you're going to watch me do the form and all the technical stuff, okay? So this is step one in our funnel. You can make your funnel look however you want, say whatever you want. Okay, that's not the important part of this. The important part of this is the concept and the technical setup. So step one, private yoga sessions at San Diego Beach. We've got a landing page here. By the way, I created all three of these pages in about 2 total minutes because I was using frames, just getframes.io. Made it really, really easy to set up something like this. So private yoga sessions at San Diego Beach. Enter your phone number below, and let's get you scheduled for your first San Diego private yoga session. Beginners, welcome. Notice what we're doing here. We're asking for what's called a micro conversion. This is not fill out our entire sign-up form and we'll get back to you. This is just enter your phone number below. That's the easiest way to get started. And they're like, oh, it's just my phone number. That's so simple. And they put in their phone number, and it's going to take them to step two. Now, before we look at step two, I want to talk about why we're asking for the phone number, because people watch these tutorials and are like, oh, I have to ask for the phone number as step one. No, you don't. What you need to do is look at your client and what they need and what the goals are and how the overall funnel is designed to work. In many cases, we would not want to ask for a phone number as step one. We would want to ask for an email address as step one, for example. In some cases, we might want to ask for a physical address as step one. So I've had many roofing clients, for example, where we want the physical address first. That's the first thing that we want. With a client like this who does most of their business via phone, the phone number is the most important thing to them. For content creators and bloggers and maybe software developers and things like that, maybe email address is the most important thing to you. So don't just say, ooh, in that one video, Kevin asked for the phone number first, so that's what we always have to ask for first. No. Look at what your client needs and what the goal of the funnel is and what the follow-up sequence is going to be. And then you'll know what that first piece of information is that you need to request, okay? After they put in their phone number here, we're going to take them to a sign-up page. The sign-up page is going to have the full sign-up form. Now, one important thing about this, and like I said earlier, we're using one form to do this. A lot of people will create a mini form for step one, and then they'll take people to page two and have them fill out a second form on page two. We don't want to do this. We don't want to manage 2 different forms. We want to attempt to do this with one single form. And the key here is that whatever you asked for on step one needs to already be in step two by default. Do not ask them to put in the same information again. You already asked that information. You should already have it. It already needs to be populated in the form on step two. You don't even have to show it. You can have it as a hidden field. I like to show it because I like to show them, hey, we already have that information. Okay, so it's all good. But you'll see this. You'll see the technical setup. Now, after they fill out the main form, this is step two of the two-step opt-in process, we want to take them to a thank you page. This is ultimately where our analytics is going to track conversions. And we also want the opportunity to do other things on this thank you page. One, we want to personalize this thank you page. So it says welcome and then their name. That would be nice. It's more friendly. It's more engaging. Okay. Cross T's, dot I's, put more detail into the work that you're doing. We also want to tell them what's going to happen next. And we also want to maybe give them some links to resources like, hey, here's how you can prep for your session. And that gets them more involved and more likely to remember that they signed up for this thing. Okay. So this is what the 3 steps look like in the process. Step 1, micro conversion. Step 2, full conversion. Step 3, follow up. And then there may be other follow-up things. Obviously, now we need to call them, don't we? We're going to maybe take their information and put it into an email nurture sequence, okay? All of these things are possibilities, but you can't do any of that if you don't know that this kind of thing exists in the first place, this kind of concept, this multi-step or 2-step opt-in concept, and if you don't know how to set it up from a technical perspective. So let's go ahead and start the setup process. So I'm going to go into the back end and I am going to go to WSForm. I'm going to go to forms and you're going to see that it is completely blank. We are starting from scratch. I'm going to go add new. I'm going to go blank form and I am going to start dragging in fields. Okay. We're going to talk about how we're organizing this form because sections in WSForm are very powerful. We're going to need some hidden fields. We're going to need some conditional logic. If one mistake I've seen a lot of people do is they put all their fields in the same section and then they have to do conditional logic based on individual fields. And that becomes a little bit of a nightmare. If you want kind of an insider pro tip, put stuff in sections and then you can do conditional logic on entire sections and you don't have to worry about individual fields. Okay, so we're going to do section 1 right here. And this is going to be called step 1. We'll just call that step 1. Make it nice and simple. And we're actually going to hide this entire section. And that's the other thing with regard to individual fields versus sections. When you're trying to control the visibility of fields, you don't want to have to go to all individual fields and manage the visibility. Just manage the visibility of a section of fields, right? So we have step 1, which we're going to create as an invisible step. And then we're going to click this little plus sign here to add another section. And this is going to be step 2. Okay, so let's click the little wheel here and say step 2. We're not going to show label on this. It's not going to be hidden. This step is not hidden. We're going to go ahead and save and close there. And then we're going to create another section. And this is going to be our hidden information section. All right. And I'm going to mark that as hidden. Command S will save. And I'm just going to go ahead and publish. So you see right off the bat, we have 3 sections in our form. Now, in step 2, this is the full-blown sign up form, all the fields that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and get these in. Actually, what I'm going to do is design this at this breakpoint first. So we're going to go text, and then I'm going to drag that about halfway, and we're going to ask for the first name here. All right, so I'm going to say this is our first name, and I'm going to make this required. All right, we're going to hit save, and then I'm going to drag in another field right here, and we're going to call this last name. I'm going to make this required as well. What other information do we need? I think we need an email address. So I'm going to drag that in. I'm going to make it required. We definitely need the phone number. So I'm going to drag in the phone number field. And I said I was going to drag this into step 2, and I'm actually dragging it into step 1. Don't worry, I'm noticing that, okay, at the exact same time. So I'm going to drag these down. We'll just make a little adjustment here. Very easy to move stuff around in WSForm. So we've got first name, we've got last name, we've got email address, we've got phone number, and I don't know if we need to ask for anything else. Let's just keep it nice and simple, okay? We're going to put a submit button into this, and we want this submit button to say, sign me up, and it's going to have an exclamation mark, all right? So we have effectively our real form right here. I'm going to go to this sign up page. We're going to edit this with bricks, and I am going to drop in a WSForm element, and then I'm going to select new form right here. And I'm going to use automatic CSS form light class to style that form instantly. And you see we're asking for first name and last name and email and phone and sign me up. Okay, let's save. Let's go ahead and view this on the front end. Nice, perfect, super simple, super easy, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to our form. Notice that nothing in step 1 shows up in our form. Nothing in the hidden section shows up in our form. Both of those are hidden. All we can see right now is this. Now what I wanna do is I wanna make the preliminary step, the micro conversion step, step 1 of the 2-step opt-in process. So in this one, I am going to ask for the phone number, and I'm gonna bring this over here. Actually, I'm gonna make it about like that. And then I'm going to put another submit button in, and we're gonna say the exact same thing here. All right, so this is gonna say, sign me up, and I'm gonna hit save. So we're asking for our phone number. This is gonna be a required step. Remember though that this field is hidden, right? Or this whole entire section is hidden. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to our main landing page right here, and I'm going to insert a div. Yeah, that should be it. Where do I want to put this? I want to put this in our inner right here. Okay, so let's get this div underneath our lead. There we go. And I'm going to put inline form wrapper on this. And I'm going to drop a form element inside of it, a WSForm element. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to grab new form right there, which normally we would call that yoga form or something like that. I didn't name it yet, and it's okay. You can name it after the fact and it'll auto update, because the ID is the only thing that should never change. The name of our form is fine to change at any time. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save there. Notice that it is loading in the entire form. I'm going to once again put the form light class on here to get this styled the way that we want. And I think that's all we want for right now. Let's go back here. One thing I do want to do is I want to not show the label on this, and I want to show a placeholder value of, I think their area code is 619, okay, 619. And then we're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to be my placeholder, but I'm also going to come over here to advanced, and I'm going to go to input mask, and I'm going to make that the mask as well. And when I use the mask, we can just do 999s. I think you can do it either way, but just to be safe, I follow, the instructions that are right here with regard to the mask. So we're going to put a mask on there. We're going to put an input mask validation checkbox on there. We're going to save that. We're going to do the same thing on our phone field here. I'm going to go to advanced. I'm going to go to input mask, drop that mask in and tell it to validate it. And then I am going to publish. Now, if I go to the sign up field, what you're going to notice when you put a mask on the field is look at what it does with regard to, hover. Like it's telling people, here's how this needs to be formatted. And if I put in just numbers, I don't have to put in parentheses or anything else. This kind of makes all of your phone numbers formatted exactly the same. So everything is nice and consistent. It handles the formatting for them. It doesn't let them choose whether they're putting parentheses or not, or dashes or anything like that. It just follows the mask, right? So we can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's my phone number, and I can hit sign me up. So that mask part of a phone number is very important. I try to put that on every single time I use a phone number field. Just again, it helps with not having random formatting on phone numbers in the back end. When you don't use a mask, that's what you're going to get, is a bunch of randomness. Okay, so we've got first name, last name, email, phone, sign me up. The phone has a mask on it. Everything is required. The labels are the way that we want them to be. That is all fantastic. What I want to do is I want to get this situation under control. Let me save here and refresh. On this step right here, we only want to see the preliminary step, okay? And a lot of stuff is going to be based on this particular page, a lot of our conditional logic. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into pages, and we're going to go to our yoga page. And we're going to hover over it. And if at the very bottom of the screen, you see the URL down there, and it tells you the post ID, 307 is the post ID. So I'm going to go to my form now, and we're going to create some conditional logic. So I'm going to click this button right here at the top right, and we're going to see I have no conditions right now. Actually, what I'm going to do also is under actions, I'm going to get rid of these actions, okay? All right, I want everything completely blank because our conditional logic is going to affect form visibility, but it's also going to affect the actions that this form is doing. So before I can do conditional logic based on the page that I'm on, the form needs to know what page it's on. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to create a field down here in this hidden section. I'm going to go create just a text field. That's all that matters right now. And I'm going to call this page ID. And I'm going to hit, we don't even need to show label. None of that really matters. I'm going to hit save page ID. Notice this field right here called default value. There's a button right here that says insert, and I can dynamically insert a default value. And remember, this is a hidden field, so nobody is going to know that this is actually happening except me. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find our post section. There's email, field, form, math, post right here. And I'm going to find the ID. So now what I've done is I've mapped the post ID into this hidden field. And now that I know what page we're on, or really the form knows what page it's on, I can do conditional logic to control visibility. So I'm going to click this button right here for conditional logic, add a condition, and call it step 1, visibility. All right, and we're gonna say, and you could do this either way. You could do like an anti-logic or like a positive logic, right? You could say, if the page equals this, then do these things. If the page doesn't equal this, then do these things. And one way can sometimes be more efficient than the other way. You might just want to play around with it, make whatever adjustments you need. I'll do it the easy way, which is the positive logic way, which is basically identifying the page ID. Okay, yoga is 307. So I'm going to say if page ID equals 307, what do we want to do if it equals 307? We want to change the visibility of the step 1 section of this form. So I'm going to come down to then, and I'm going to say section 1, step 1 right here. We're going to set visibility to visible. Remember, it was invisible by default. Now we're saying, hey, but if it's on this page, set the visibility to visible, else set it to hidden, which is going to default back to our original state, okay? And then what we also want to do is we want to hide step 2, okay? So set section 1's visibility to visible and set section 2's visibility to hidden, okay? And then in the else, and I love this about WSForm, it automatically adds the next step for you in the else version as well. So we have set visibility to hidden. We're going to set this to visible if this logic is not true, right? So I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and we're going to publish. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to our yoga sign up page, and I'm going to refresh. And you see, we have the exact same form. So that logic step has not affected this page right here. What we want to see is, did it affect our main page? So I'm going to go to our main page and look at this. We have affected the main page. Now, see a little bit of a formatting issue where it's not quite fitting. So what we need, very simple, is we need to control the width of our form right here. So I'm going to go to layout. Let's see, on this div, is it my inline form wrapper? Let's go with like 40 characters. Let's go with 50 characters. That seems to be good. Maybe even 60 characters. Okay. And we're also going to go with, on here, inline form. All right. So actually, I think it's form inline. There we go. Which is going to remove the bottom margin from those. And then I'm going to refresh and look at what we have now. We have just asking for the phone number and a sign up button. So now what they're going to do is arrive on this landing page. They're going to be like, yeah, I want to do private yoga sessions at San Diego Beach. Hey, look at that. All I have to put in is my phone number. They're not asking me for all this other information. So they're going to say 619-123-4567, and they're going to hit sign me up. Except right now, nothing happens. Why? Because we don't have any actions in this form. We need to now set up our actions, okay? So what I'm going to do is go back to our form. This time I'm going to go to actions, and I'm going to set up an action. New action. We'll call this proceed to step 2. And for my action, I want to redirect. Now, there may be another step that I want to do here, and we'll pause in just a moment and talk about it. But I want to redirect to yoga, and then I want to do sign up. That's step 2, is the sign up page, okay? And what I want to do as I redirect this traffic, I want to add a URL parameter called phone. And I'll show you what this does in just a second. The value of which is field, and then I need the field ID, which is 29. This field right here, this phone field 29, I need its value to be passed in the URL. All right. So we're going to go ahead and hit save. And let's go ahead and hit publish. Okay. So let's look at what we've done. We've created an action called proceed to step 2. When this, when should this action happen? When the form is submitted, right here. So when the form is submitted, we're going to take people to this URL and we're going to add this URL parameter into the URL, okay? All right, so let's see if that happens. I'm going to go back to our main page and we're going to say 619 123 4567, sign me up, and it takes us to step 2. And look up here in the URL field, we're passing the phone number in the URL. And what we're going to be able to do now is grab that phone number out of the URL and make it the default value of this phone field right here. That's the next thing that we need to accomplish. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to go down to this phone field right here and look again at default value, right? So I can go to default value. What is the default value going to be? Well, it's not going to be the field value. You can't just grab the field value from right here because that field, once we go to another page, will be empty, right? So that's not going to help us. What we need to do is dynamically pull that from the URL. And we do that with a function called query var. And then we put in the name of the field, which is phone. That is the name of the variable that we passed. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and I'm going to go ahead and hit publish, and then I can just refresh this page. And the minute I refresh, look at what we've got here. A default value equal to this string right up here. So we were able to pass the value from step 1 directly into step 2. Let's go back and let's do it again. So we can see it all happen now in real time. 619, I'll say 456 7890. So it's a different phone number. Sign me up. And it says, sign up. You're one step away. We just need a few more details and then we can get you scheduled for your private yoga session. And look what's already filled out, the information that we already have. So now they would put in the next set. We'll say Taylor Swift is going to be doing some yoga. So Taylor@gmail.com. Probably not a real email address, okay? Sign me up and now what, okay? Well, number 1, we need to proceed the person to the thank you page, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and tackle that. Let's add an action. What are we gonna add? Proceed to thanks. All right, and we're gonna say redirect this person. When the form is submitted, where are we gonna send them? Yoga thanks, okay? And when we do that, we wanna pass a field called first name. And the value is going to be fields. And what's the first name? 24. Right there is the ID. So I'm going to say field 24. And we're going to go ahead and save that. And we are going to publish. Okay. Now let's go ahead and refresh this. Let's go back to our main step. Okay. So back to yoga. See if everything works. 619, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Get a little bit different number in there. Sign me up. Hey, it's pre-populated. Taylor Swift, Taylor@gmail.com. Sign me up. And problem. It's not taking us to step 3. If we go back to our form and we look at our actions, we are basically having this form submit twice. I don't think it knows what action to use, right? So this is where we go back to conditional logic and we say step 1, redirect, right? Okay, remember in visibility, we said if it equals 307, if the page equals 307. So we're gonna do that again. If page ID equals 307, what are we gonna do? Well, we can do something to the action. Proceed to step 2, run when form submitted, okay? And then else, if we're not on page 307, do not run this action when the form is submitted, okay? All right, now we're going to set up our logic for step 2, redirect. So this is gonna be when page ID equals, does not equal 307. So if we're not on the 307 page, then what we want to do is proceed to thanks. We're going to run when form submitted, else we're not going to run that step, okay? And we're going to say proceed to step 2, do not run when form submitted, okay? Else action proceed to step 2, run when form submitted, which means if we are on the 307 page. All right, I'm going to go ahead and save that, and we're going to publish. I'm going to go back to our main yoga page. 619 123 4567. Sign me up. First name, Taylor Swift. Taylor@gmail.com. There we go. Sign me up. Welcome. Okay. Now we still got to look at things that are happening with submissions in the back end. And I want to show you 2 different things here that give you a lot of flexibility in how you want to handle these leads. So don't go away yet. We are not done, my friends. We are not done with the magic. So now what we want to do is personalize this page. Remember we said we wanted to do that? So I'm going to go to edit with Bricks, and Bricks makes this super easy. So I'm going to say welcome, comma, and then I'm going to say URL parameter. And then you come in here, I'll zoom in for you. You put a colon and the name of the parameter, which is first name. Exclamation mark at the end. Let's go ahead and hit save. I can zoom back out, and then I can go to the thanks page, refresh, and look at this. Now, we are on the preview. We need to go back to our main page. Let's just go through the whole thing again. So 619, and we'll do 9999999. Okay. Sign me up. Taylor Swift, Taylor@gmail.com. Okay. There's my number. Sign me up. Welcome, Taylor. Nice and personalized. Easy to accomplish. Okay. Now let's go on the back end. All right, let's go into submissions. Let's choose our form. Actually, let me name this form first, okay? I hate having unnamed forms. Yoga sign up. So here's our yoga sign up form. Not a sig up, a sign up. All right, yoga sign up form. So now I'm gonna go to submissions, and I'm gonna go to yoga sign up. And what you're gonna see is there are no submissions available. Why is that? What is going on with our form? Remember I cleared out all of the default form stuff? There is no submit form action. Okay, I need to open this up, and I need to say save submission. So I'm going to save the submission. When should this action be run? When it's saved, when it's submitted, save all fields, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save and close. And we're going to publish this. Now let's go through it again. So I'm going to go back to the yoga page, and I'm going to say 619-567-890, 612, whatever, doesn't really matter. Kevin, Geary, Kevin at... Yeah, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it now. Gmail.com. It's not my real email address, okay? Sign me up. Welcome, Kevin. All right, good. I'm signed up for a private yoga session. Let's see what happens on the back end with our submissions. And we select our form. Look at this. Double submissions. Now, do we want double submissions? That's the question. In some cases, I would say, yes, you want double submissions. In some cases, you may not want double submissions. I'm going to show you how to handle this if you don't want double submissions. But I will say, double submissions allows you to do this. Notice that it collected as a submission just the phone number. If that person does not finish step 2, I still have their phone number. I can still call them. In fact, this client can still call them, right? So it's still a lead. It's still a lead. And we don't know why they didn't finish step 2. Maybe there was a technical issue. Maybe they got busy. Maybe their husband called them right when they were about to fill out the form. Somebody calls them on the phone. They get distracted. They forget to fill out step 2, right? Maybe something caught their eye. Maybe their kid walked up to them and started talking to them, and they got distracted and had to go help their kid, and they forgot to do step. We don't know why they didn't finish step 2. It's not necessarily because they weren't interested, right? But they forgot. But because we used a 2-step opt-in process, we still have their critical data. We can reach out to them and say, hey, we got your partial submission on the website. Just wanted to see if you weren't able to finish step 2, or if you're still interested in this. Can I answer any questions for you? Yada, 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 right? You can still contact the person. That is the benefit of having a double submission. You can also see who's super serious, right? Because the person that didn't get distracted or that decided to finish step 2, and depending on how many fields we ask for in step 2, will determine, the conversion rate of step 2. You can see the double submissions are the most serious people. So if you're getting tons and tons and tons of leads, you can prioritize, obviously, the people that put in a full submission. But by the way, check this out. You can always send people, because we're using a single form for this, and the way we're doing logic and routing and all of that, you could always send people right here. If you don't want certain people to go through the 2-step process, you can just send people to this step right here. Look at this. So we'll say Taylor Swift E. All right. And this is going to be taylor@gmail.com, 123-456-7890. Sign me up. I didn't even need to see step 1. Step 1 is not required in this process. There is tremendous flexibility in how we have set this up. And now I go refresh. There's Taylor Swifty, her full form submission right there. So I can play this however I want. Send people right to the full form, send people to the 2-step opt-in process, whatever I want to do, I'm free to do. I only have one form to manage in the back end. Now, what if you don't want the double submission? What if you don't want the double submission? Okay. So I'm going to say step 1, redirect right here. So this is our step 1 conditional logic. If the page equals 307, that's our preliminary landing page, right? Then our action is proceed to step 2, run when submitted. And I'm also going to say, hey, by the way, that save submission step, do not run that when the form is submitted, okay? And then I can say run when form submitted as the opposite action for the else statement. And now I save and I publish. And with that one little extra rule, let's take a look at this. Let's go ahead and clear our submissions. So here's all of our yoga sign up submissions. We are going to move these to the trash. So we have no submissions in. I'm going to go through the full process now. All right. So yoga, I'm going to say 123-456-7890. Sign me up. Taylor Swift. Taylor@gmail.com. Sign me up. Welcome, Taylor. Submissions, refresh, one single submission in the database. So it's completely up to you whether you want to get double submissions, get that preliminary data either over into the database by itself, or you could actually choose whether you want to route that data somewhere else. Who does that data get sent to? Let me go over into our form here, because there's a bunch of other stuff. We're not even going to worry about a lot of this stuff, but I do want to show you with conditional logic or the form submission step, right? You can choose who gets each piece of information, right? The preliminary step can go over here to this person. The full form submission can go over here to this person, or the preliminary data gets saved to our local install here, but doesn't get sent to our CRM, whereas the full submission always gets sent to the CRM. You can do conditional logic with how that data is routed. Tremendous, tremendous, tremendous flexibility, okay? So we have a 2-step opt-in process. We have a personalized thank you page. This is how you handle, we talked about URL parameters, passing those, default values in different fields, controlling visibility via sections in a form and not individual form fields. I think there was a lot to chew on here. If you have any questions about this 2-step opt-in process, drop them as a comment below. If you're not subscribed to this channel yet, what are you waiting for, my friend? Please hit the subscribe button. Right? You want these videos. You want these videos in your life. There is so much value on this channel. You cannot afford to miss anything. So make sure you're subscribed, drop a comment below, drop a like on this video if you got something out of it, and I will see you very, very, very soon with more awesome web design, dev, and marketing tutorials and business tutorials as well. I'm out. Peace.